years. Shortly before his return to Africa, I talked with Chinua Achebe at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where he's been teaching the past year. There's a proverb in your tradition which says, wherever something stands, something else will stand beside it. How do you interpret that?
It means that there is no one way to anything. The people who made that proverb, the Igbo people, are very insistent on this, that there is no absolute anything. Even good things, they are against excess. Their world is a world of dualities. It is good to be brave, they say, but also remember that the coward survives the brave man. And so this is what it's saying.
So if you have your God, that's all right, because
Yes.
there must be another God as
Yes,
well.
yes. If there is one God, fine, there will be others as well.
Two
If there is one
cultures.
point of view, fine, there will be a second point of view.
Has this had any particular meaning for you, living as you do in two worlds or between two worlds?
Yes, I think it is one of the central themes of my life and of my work.
Certainly of your literature.
Yes, yes. And this is where I think the first conflict with those who came to improve us developed, the missionaries, because they came with the idea of one way, one truth, one life. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And this is something which my people traditionally would consider so extreme, so fanatical, that they would recoil from it.
Wasn't this one of the reasons that the missionaries, the colonial administrators, the Westerners have often not ever penetrated the reality of the African society, because the African could embrace the Christian God while still holding on to a sense of tradition, to the gods of old in one sense. Is that right?
Yes, yes, and I think it was not necessary to have thrown overboard so much that was thrown overboard in the name of Christianity or in the name of civilization. It was not necessary. I think a lot of the damage, not only to the material culture, but to the mind of the people, that we made nothing. Our thoughts were evil. Religions were not really religions. It's paganism or heathenism. And so this created a problem in the mind of the people.
You once said that if you're an African, the world is turned upside down. Explain that to me.
I look at the world, and the space allowed me in the way the world is organized is inadequate. Wherever I look, whichever direction I look, and I don't want to stay in that space because it is stifling. Racism, for one, even on our own continent, all kinds of mistreatment. The most recent, for instance, is the dumping of the toxic wastes from the industrialized world in Africa.
Many people are not aware of this.
They're not even aware.
Recently reported phenomenon that many American and Western companies and countries are dumping their toxic waste in African countries, often bribing governments.
That's right. Yes, they will do that too. Yes. So that's what I mean by saying that the world is upside down. The world is not well arranged. It's not well arranged. And therefore, there's no way we can be happy with it. And no way, even as writers, Sometimes our colleagues in the West suggest that perhaps we are too activist, we are too earnest. You see, why don't you relax? You know, this is not really the business of poetry. The point is this: a poet who sees poetry in the light in which I'm suggesting, is likely to fall out very seriously with the emperor, and whereas a poet in the West might say, oh no, we have no business with politics, we have no business with history, we have no business with anything, just what is in our own mind, the emperor would be very, very happy.
So that's what you meant when you said once that storytelling is a threat.
It is a threat.
A threat
yes.
to anyone in control.
Yes, yes. Because the storyteller has a different agenda from the emperor.
You've certainly done your share of offending the emperor. In fact, you draw a devastating picture of government in Africa. Ministers living in princely mansions while the peasants and the workers live in shacks. You've talked about the corruption of democracy, the bribery, the vulgarity, the violence, the brutality, the rigged elections. Aren't you concerned that in these novels, which are gaining a growing audience in the West, that you are reinforcing the stereotypes of many Westerners toward your own people?
Well, I can see that danger. But that doesn't really bother me because I am not concerned primarily with those. I'm concerned with the people whose story I am telling. And if I'm a bit harsh, that harshness, I think, comes from concern. It is not that I hate my people or that I hate those who rule us. Even I don't even hate them. But you know, when you look at the possibilities, the opportunities that we have squandered in a country like Nigeria, you know, it is really so painful because so much could have been achieved, so much assistance could have been given to not just to the poor in Nigeria, but even outside of Nigeria, because Providence has been so prodigious in its gifts to a country like Nigeria. And so when you look at that the possibility and what was achieved, one feels very, very bitter indeed.
You're pretty tough when you write, we have given ourselves over so completely to selfishness that we hurt not only those around us, but ourselves even more deeply, that one must assume a blunting of the imagination and a sense of danger of truly psychiatric proportions. That's a harsh judgment on your own.
Yes. You have examples, scores and scores of examples of people who cart away the wealth of their nations, you know, to Europe, to Swiss banks. You have examples of officials who take money so that toxic waste can be dumped in their territory. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And really, it's impossible to think and contemplate that kind of situation without being very, very bitter.
It was a great gamble that Nigeria and other new nations in Africa took when, leaving colonialism, they embraced democracy, because democracy offers the possibility of infinite corruption, leaders promising benefits to the electorate if they're only returned to power again. It takes a great deal of discipline, institutional building, and tradition to make a democracy incorruptible. And of course, no democracy is incorruptible.
Yes. Well, I think you are right, and I think it goes even beyond that, because when people say, for instance, that we failed to practice democracy in Africa, for instance, they assume that we were taught democracy during colonial rule and that we somehow betrayed our education. That is not the case. That is not true at all. The colonial regime itself was not a democratic system. It was the most extreme form of totalitarianism.